One day I came home from campus and I had a letter, or Alice and I had a letter from Sweet Anderson. And he said, I would like to ask you and Alice to consider going to Africa. We prayed about it for a while and decided we were going to go. That was years before AIT, so you just kind of decided to go and you went. And so in September, we made our way to Africa. We had 2 kids, 1 and 3. Somebody picked us up at the airport and we drove in, and as I said, that was the days of Idi Amin, and so we drove from the airport into Kampala where we were going to stay, and there were a number of roadblocks, soldiers there with their machine guns stopping us, wanting to look at passports, and we got these 2 little kids. That was kind of an interesting experience, but whoever picked us up, I don't quite remember who it was, picked us up, but they kind of made it, well, this is a normal experience here. So we drove across the border from Uganda to Kenya in December 1972. And we were the first staff in Kenya and just started the ministry. God provided friends, some navigators kind of took us under their wing. We didn't live in a mud house. We always had electricity. It may not have always worked. We always had water, although it may not always have been on. I remember one of the first times Bill Bright came to Kenya, and by that time we had, some staff, some of the Uganda staff had come over, and we were having a meeting in our home, and we had a sofa and a love seat, and maybe one single chair. That's all we had in our living room, with a light bulb, no shade on it, just a light bulb hanging down there. And we brought in some other chairs because the staff came, and Bill was there, and he said, oh, if the staff in the U.S. knew what you're going through. And we didn't think about we were suffering or anything. We didn't have very much, but we didn't think we were suffering. And he said, have you guys seen something that we'd gotten Crusade published, the Worldwide Challenge or something? He said, well, we don't get that. He said, guys don't get that. And we said, we don't get anything from America. So I'm going to make sure, our staff get that. So when you left, there wasn't a lot of contact or care, and we didn't think about it. We just, that's what you did. And we survived fine. We didn't have a phone for 6 years. And then when we finally, we'd filled out an application, and when they finally said, oh, you can get a phone, we thought, it's kind of nice not having a phone. Nobody can call us at night. Our neighbors had a phone, so if it was really important, somebody could get a hold of us. But we didn't think we were suffering because we didn't have a phone. And we had some great family times in Kenya. Kenya is a beautiful place, a beautiful country. The people are warm and friendly. It was a great place to raise our kids. We never regret raising our family in Africa. God was just faithful. Faithful is He who calls you, who will also bring it to pass. And God had called us to Africa. He had taken care of our family. He had supplied us our financial needs. He had kept us well. He supplied us with the resources that we needed. He really took care of us. God was faithful. I think of our going and the lack of, in a sense, preparation of things like AIT and cross-cultural training and all of that, but God still was faithful in how God could use us, who were young Americans with not that much international experience. But God, in His grace, gave us the privilege of ministering and sharing Christ in the power of the Holy Spirit. Starting the training center, I'm thinking here, we'd never done that kind of a thing before. Still a fairly new Christian at that point. I'd been a Christian maybe 6 or 7 years. And here I was leading that. I don't know how old I was, early 30s. Probably, and we had people like Munir Faragala, who was, 20 years older, an experienced banker, and I'm helping to train Munir and Makram Morgos and these guys that are really heroes of the faith and in their countries. But God still used me there, and that's kind of amazing. I've had an opportunity to go back once since we came back in 2000. I taught an IBS class, and just going back to Africa again, to Uganda and Kenya, we just felt like we've come back home to friends and to a place that we loved and people that we loved. God is doing and has done for a long time so many exciting things in Africa, and we got to observe and be a part of that.